portaging canoe is a pretty straightforward process. First, make sure you've got good footing, and then instead of using your back, you want to be using your leg muscles, just like lifting any heavy object. Make a table out of your thighs, bring the canoe right up, reach for the far gunnel, and then one smooth movement, turn and bring it up on your shoulders. Wow! Nice. It's real nice when you work for it. Hi, I'm John Veman. This week, the best backcountry trails are right outside our door. We're skiing the hut-to-hut system of Colorado's San Juan Mountains, 11,000 feet up on Trailside. Hear that? It's quiet. One of the wonderful things about the woods in winter. Hi, I'm John Veman in Glacier National Park, Montana. Today we're going to explore this winter landscape on snowshoes. And tonight, we're going to make a cozy place to sleep out here as we make our own adventure on Trailside. Snowshoes have been around for about 6,000 years, for a very good reason. When it comes to traveling on rugged terrain in winter, they're about the best things on 2 feet. And they're perfect in hauling a heavy load, like we'll be doing today. We're about to take these through Glacier, one of the few national parks completely closed to motorized vehicles during winter. Over 1 million acres, accessible only to cross-country skiers and snowshoers. In the winter, this park goes back to nature, but the temperature can drop well below zero. So proper planning is critical. The best way to stay warm in winter is to dress in layers. That way you can adjust your clothing to your activity level. Now the more layers, the more flexibility you'll have. Now the layer that's right next to your body is called the wicking layer. And here you want a fabric that will take moisture away from your skin. There are a lot of fabrics designed especially for this. What I like to use is a silk liner with a polypro outer shirt. Yeah, I try to avoid cotton next to my skin because it holds on to moisture and has no insulating value when wet. Now the next layer is called the insulating layer. Here I like to use a pile fabric because it's warm, it's light, and it dries quickly. The key really is to have one with enough loft that will trap air where your body can warm it up. Now the outer layer is a hooded shell, one made of a windproof, breathable fabric. And if you get hot easily, one with zippers under the armpits is a great idea. Something often overlooked in winter is the sun. And for that, you need a good sunscreen. One rated to at least 15, and really glop it on because most people don't use enough. Now since it's going to be getting plenty cold around camp at night, I like to make sure I've got one of the heaviest parkas I can find, a pair of super insulated boots, and a pair of extra felt liners. Because the key to winter camping is keeping your feet dry at all times. Since I'm going to be using hiking boots during the day, I want to make sure I got a pair of gaiters to keep snow out of them. Now since there's a lot of extra gear with winter camping and a lot of extra clothing, I'm going to be pulling it all right behind me on a sled. Today we'll be snowshoeing to our campsite with cold weather expert Steve Howe. Steve has been winter camping for over 25 years, sometimes at 20,000 feet in the Andes. Hey Steve.
Hi John.
How you doing?
Good, yourself?
Good. Hey, you must really like this cold weather.
Well, actually I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to cold, but if you're halfway prepared, it's not so bad.
Yeah? Well, I'm real excited about where we're going. Have you got a map so we can take a look?
Route's all planned out. We'll start here at the tracks, railroad tracks. We'll go up the right-hand side of this drainage.
Yeah.
We'll end up camped at the base of this ridge.
Well, and that's quite a ridge. I bet that'll be a great view.
Yeah, it'll be real pretty, and it'll be out of the wind and in the sun.
Super. One of the great things about winter camping is you don't have to go very far to get a good campsite and get away from the crowds. Ready to go, Steve?
No, so you get to break trail.
Okay, I'll start.
Well, we got a really good dinner planned tonight.
Oh, now wait a minute. I've heard about your dinners, Steve.
Most of the ugly rumors are true, but in this case, we're going to make an exception.
Okay. Boy, Steve, these sleds are really great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it'd be like holding this 60 pounds on your back?
Yeah, we'd be thigh deep in the snow. Pace is pretty nice too.
Yeah.
It's we're staying warm, but we're not getting tired doing it.
Yeah. It really help you control that sled.
Yeah. These stiff traces will help on this downhill too. They'll keep us from getting run over.
You can take it first.
Thanks.
Boy, the wind's really howling across this lake.
Yeah, sure is. You can see how it's blowing all the snow off the ice, and it kind of makes it look like the ripples at the bottom of an ocean. The Italian word for that, sastrugi.
I thought that was what we were having for dinner tonight.
That's tortellini, John. Tortellini.
Getting a little heated up, Steve. What do you think? Should we take a break?
I think maybe stop up here on these flats, have something to drink. It's kind of a good idea to adjust our body temperature through pacing.
Yeah. Drink of water would be good.
Yeah, it's pretty important to stay hydrated.
What do you usually recommend? About three quarts a day?
3 quarts a day is about as much as most people can make themselves drink. So that's good.
It's kind of deceptive, the air's so dry out here, isn't it?
Yeah, you actually breathe out a lot of moisture really quick. I get cold easy, so I'll put this hat on. It's a lot easier for me to stay warm than get warm again after I get cold.
There you go.
Thanks.
What do we got here? Ermine tracks?
Yeah, short-tailed weasel. In the winter they turn white and black.
Well, the temperature's really dropped since we got into this grove of firs.
Yeah, no more of that nice sun.
Yeah. Well, you've done a lot of winter camping. How do you deal with cold? Well, you never worry about frostbite?
Yeah, frostbite's a danger, but it's a little bit of an overrated one. It can sneak up on you if you're not careful, though.
Yeah.
Biggest problem is making sure that you're aware of the symptoms and you're paying attention to your body. So if you've got numb skin, or your nose or cheeks or fingertips turn white, chances are you got problems. And the best way to prevent or to cure that is to put on more clothes or increase your exertion level, or get some hot drinks, hot water bottle.
Of course, winter camping, it's a lot different from summer camping. You got to pay attention to keeping yourself warm and keeping yourself hydrated. You also have to pay attention to choosing your campsite, and hopefully we're going to do just that as soon as we get over this ridge. Looks like we're going to get up to the top in plenty of time to pick a good site, Steve, and there's not going to be any crowds out here.
Yeah.
What are we looking for?
Well, if we can find some place that's out of the wind and out of the bottom of this valley so we're not sleeping in a pool of cold air, we'll be all set.
Sounds good. Looks like we're coming to a clearing up here, Steve. I think this might be our camp.
Yeah. Nice glade in this mixed aspen fir community. About 30-year-old trees.
Looks like they're even budding here.
Yeah, you can see they're budding, even though it's early winter.
This looks like it. What do you think?
Yeah, perfect.
Got a nice flat spot. Get the tent.
Let's set the quinza right here. We don't have a deep enough snowbank for a real cave. We'll build this native Athabascan Indian shelter where we'll pile up the snow and then dig it out. We're going to have to stomp out a good floor plan first and then let it set and pile more snow on top of it.
Okay.
It'll take a little while to build, but it'll be worth it.
Great. Which one do you think will be warmer?
Oh, I think the quinza will definitely be warmer.
It's nowhere near dinner time, but we've chosen to establish our camp now for a few good reasons. First, we need daylight to get things going, and there's a lot less daylight this time of year. Second, we'd hate to be so worn out from our hike that we wouldn't have the energy left to set up our camp. Establishing a winter camp takes a lot more time, effort, and construction expertise than pitching a tent in summer. So Steve, what makes this a four-season tent then is the extra poles for support, right? And then the color is a nice bright color that stands out in the snow?
Yeah, the 4 arcs help support it against snow load. It's freestanding, so that means it requires a minimum of stakes. And it's also real aerodynamic, so it can stand up to storms. That's all real critical.
You using the same system for pads in your?
I have one thick foam pad, but basically the insulation layer is about the same, and it's really important to have a lot of thickness to insulate you from the snow.
Okay. Well, I've got a 20 degree below zero down bag, and we'll let that fluff up for about a half hour or so, and there you have it. Got all the creature comforts of home right here on the side of a mountain. But before we settle in, we've got some work to do. This is really starting to look like a piece of architecture.
Yeah, it is. But quinza is also a really appropriate snow shelter for a place like this where we don't have a drift to burrow into. So we can solve that problem by piling up the snow and then digging it out to get a living space.
So we just pack it down as we go up and it kind of hardens in layers?
Yeah, you shovel for a while and then you snowshoe over the top for a bit and shovel some more. And it's important to make the thing pretty big. It's also important to make the mound kind of rounded rather than a cone-shaped pile, so it'll be structurally stronger.
And how many stories are we going to do today?
Only one, but it's still pretty critical that we make it big enough so that once we hollow it out in the interior, we still have enough volume for a foot of wall space all the way around.
Well, Steve, I know you're a big believer in these things, but the idea of spending the night under a mound of snow sounds a little wet and soggy to me.
Digging it's the soggiest part, but snow's such an efficient insulator that the interior temperature can easily be 60 degrees warmer than outside. So consequently, it's a really critical skill to know in case you get hit by an unexpected blizzard. and it saved my skin a few times.
Well, I don't know. You make it sound good, but I think I'm going to wait and see if you make it out in the morning, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to spend a night in one of these things.
Okay.
Oh, here comes Carrie. Looks like it's time for some snowshoeing lessons.
Hi, John.
Hi, Carrie. Did you have any trouble finding our track?
No problem at all.
Great. Good to see you. Carrie Gunderson has come to help us master the fine art of snowshoeing, something she does all the time as a wilderness ranger in the Mission Mountains, about 100 miles south of here. Hey, Carrie, you want to help me get my snowshoes on and get all suited up?
You bet. Let's go.
All right, let's go do it.
Those are pretty flashy snowshoes, John.
Well, green's always been one of my favorite colors. But you know, we've basically, besides the color, we've got basically the same shape. And I notice even the binding's the same, that we're pivoting right at the ball of the foot. You've got a little bit different harness system. Why is that? Is that personal preference?
Well, it's a pretty basic cross-strapping system. And there's a lot of different kinds of bindings out there. But the main thing you want to be concerned with is that you've got it cinched up real tight, because you just don't want a lot of play in the strapping. So you want to be in there real secure before you head out.
I notice you've got a little bit of a crampon on the bottom of your foot.
Yeah, it's a claw apparatus, and it really helps as far as gripping power if you're heading up something real steep or coming down something pretty steep. It just gives you that extra bite.
Great. Well, I think we should go bite into some snow, and since you're the expert, why don't you start and I'll follow.
All right.
Steve, we'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Well, Carrie, I'm a little more accustomed to skis than snowshoes, but so far this is about as complicated as walking.
Yeah, that's true. Snowshoeing is easy to learn, and that's why it appeals to people of all ages. And it's pretty inexpensive to get into.
And you know, you really get a chance to take in the whole area when you're moving at a slower pace like this.
That's a real bonus. And you can cover all kinds of different terrain on snowshoes.
You're going to teach me how to traverse some of that terrain?
I've got a good trail for us today.
All right, I can't wait.
We'll do a kick turn on this next corner. You're going
Okay.
to turn your snowshoe 180 degrees, bring the other one around, and head on up.
So it's just like a kick turn in cross-country skiing, huh?
Exactly.
Now, Carrie, what if we didn't have an open area like this and we had to go straight up the hill? How would we deal with that?
Well, then we want to kick step right into the hillside, use your poles to pull yourself up.
Okay.
Kick right in.
So it's probably a good thing to have a nice sharp toe on your boot or a good crampon on there, huh?
It helps a lot.
Whoa, now this one looks like it's a little much for me, Carrie. What do you recommend?
Well, we could glissade down, sliding down, or we could bend down and ride our tails, or we can take a gentle traverse down this. Let's give that a try.
I'll follow you.
Dig in.
Okay.
Whoa! I hope you have better luck than I do, John.
All
Dig
right.
in.
Okay. I think I duplicated your technique pretty well.
Hey, well, we made it down. That's what counts.
Okay. Looks like we're coming to a clearing up here, Carrie.
Looks like there might be a nice view.
Yeah. Boy, what an incredible view. Look at that.
You're looking at the Continental Divide as far as your eye can see across these ridge lines.
Oh, that's amazing. What's the, how high is that up there? Is that about 9,000 feet?
Between 82, 84. It's raw, rugged country.
Are there any goats up there?
I'm sure there are. They're looking for some sunny spots, just like us.
What do you think? We should get on back to camp?
Probably better head out.
Okay.
Well, you guys are just in time. Quinn's is finished, dinner's started, and you're gonna get to do the dishes.
Oh, Carrie, can we talk you into staying for dinner?
No, thanks. I've heard about Steve's cooking. I'll see you later.
Hey.
Okay, thanks a
See
lot.
ya.
Looks like quite a palace you got there, Steve.
Yeah, it's pretty comfortable. I dug this trench so we'd have a good place to sit and just continued it right on into the front door.
Looks great. You ready for a tour?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Why not? Watch your head.
Okay. Whoa, Steve, this is nice.
Yeah, well, we ran into a little problem with the stump here, but that's okay. We'll make a perfect coffee table.
This is roomier than I thought.
You can see how I shaved the walls, really as smooth as I could get them in kind of an arch shape in order to minimize any dripping problems we might have. That's pretty important, especially if we are forced to cook in here.
And you vented a little bit, a few holes in there.
Yeah, you punch the holes in the top of the dome in order to let moisture and stale air out.
And it's nice you left the walls white to kind of give this big illusion of space, even though there is a lot of space in here
Yeah, you
already.
like that, huh?
Yeah. And you've got a nice shelf here for storing a few things, and you can kind of knock in little things to
Yeah,
hang.
you can customize the interior any way you want that way.
Now the door is below ground level, and that's probably for a pretty good reason, I'm sure.
Yeah, since warm air rises, the low doorway traps heat inside the dome structure and makes a lot warmer in here.
Well, this is real cozy, Steve. And I bet you're pretty hungry after doing all this digging, so why don't we go out and see what's for dinner? Hey, forget the trail mix. We're talking about a 4-star meal here. And all this in one pot just by boiling water. It's a feast of tortellini Alfredo with sun-dried tomatoes and Italian sausage with a Nordic fruit soup to go with it. Altogether, probably hundreds of calories, but there's zero guilt.
Yeah, it's real important to keep your food intake up when you're out winter camping, John, because between the access hike and digging the snow cave in this cold weather, we could easily expend 3,000 to 5,000 calories a day.
And you want to keep the foods pretty simple, I bet.
You got to spend a lot of time melting snow anyway, and it's cold out here, so one-pot meals are best.
And you're cooking with white gas, Steve? Cold weather?
Yeah, pressurized canister type stoves generally only work well to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas this stove will handle anything as cold as we will encounter.
And since we're at a little bit of altitude here, and you brought a little extra fuel, right?
You'll use about 3 times as much fuel in winter as in summer because of the requirements to melt snow.
And we've got it on a piece of thin sheet of plywood here just to keep the heat from...
Keeps it from melting its own hole.
Great. Well, let's see how good of a cook you are, huh? Pretty good. I'd say you're a lot better than you give yourself credit for. See you in the morning, Steve.
See you, John.
Have a good one. Well, it's been a great day, but it's going to be an incredible night. There's not a cloud in the sky, and the stars are out. But you know, the other side of that in winter is that's a sure sign it's going to get plenty cold tonight. Probably by morning as cold as 10 below. But with a bag rated to 20 below, I'm definitely ready for that. Hey, Steve, you in there?
Yo!
Come on out. How was it?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah?
Really warm.
I didn't get down as low as I thought last night. It was only about 20 degrees.
Yeah?
And obviously we got a couple inches of nice snow, so much for my weather forecasting abilities. How was it in there?
Oh, it was really warm. Probably never got below 45 degrees all night.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you hear, did you hear that screech owl about 10:30?
No, all I could hear was you snoring, John.
Oh, no. That was a screech owl, Steve.
Yeah,
That was a screech owl. Well, we're going to have a huge breakfast before we head off for another day exploring. And I think tonight I'm going to try that snow cave out. I'm John Veman. See you next time on Trailside. Carrie, I'm a little more used to skiing than snowshoeing, but so far this seems about as complicated as walking.
You're right about that.
Whoa, Steve, this is nice.
Yeah, well, we ran into a little problem with the stump here, but that's okay. It'll make a perfect coffee table.
Funding for Trailside is made possible in part by Chevy Trucks, who reminds you that it's possible to have fun outdoors and still leave Mother Nature with a smile on her face, too. And LL Bean, providing sporting gear and apparel for people who love the outdoors for over 80 years. And High Tech Sports, who invite you to enjoy the great outdoors and follow the trail to adventure.
Guys, we're about ready to come in and block this thing out and do it.
I wouldn't mind doing one more.
You wouldn't mind doing another one?
Do the wild sound right now.
Do this wild track right here and
Rolling. You want me to be walking?
52, take 2.
All speed. Quiet, please. And action.
Whoa! I guess that technique didn't work so well.
Welcome back, you guys.
We're just in time.
Here, you're out.
It's these new quick release bindings. They work great.
Whoa! I hope you have better luck than I do, John.
All
Dig
right.
in.
Okay. Snowshoeing in Glacier National Park is memorable for being our first Trailside show.
Hey, well, we made it down. That's what counts.
Looks like we've got a sizable hill here, Terry. What do you recommend?
Snowshoeing is probably the best way you could think of getting started experiencing winter. You know, the pace is really slow, so you can appreciate the uniqueness of the season. The skill required is minimal on most terrain. It's really about as complicated as walking. And you can even get into a lot tighter areas, you know, like forests and tight rock formations, places where skis just can't get in.
But I've made an exception in your case.
All right. Look forward to it.
Well, first I dug this kitchen out here and
The quinzas, or the snow shelters that we built on the show, are amazingly warm. And actually, the quinza is an Athabascan Indian shelter, and we're still really not totally clear on how you pronounce the word quinza. Some people call it quinzy, some call it quinza, some call it kinsey.
Good night, John.
Actually, we called the National Archives up in Canada and for Athabascan lore, and they couldn't even tell us how to properly pronounce the word. So we settled on quinza. In any case, the quinzas are amazingly warm because they use snow as their walls and basic structural component, and snow is a natural insulator. Your body heat alone can warm up the trapped airspace inside, and you can also even speed up that warming process a little by bringing in a lantern. Just make sure that you allow more air vents in the ceiling if you do that.
Unexpected stump, but we'll just use those.
During this show, I couldn't resist trying out the snow shelter, and frankly, I found it much better than a tent for sleeping out in the cold weather. Of course, it's not something you want to build every day, so it's good to base camp out of them, just to make sure the enjoyment that you get matches the work that's involved in creating one.
Oh, great.
Steve Howe picked up the nickname Marmot for his handiwork building the quinza, And I felt sorry for him only briefly because he was really enjoying all that digging. Something to be aware of if you plan on doing this is that it's a somewhat wet experience. You're not getting wet from the snow so much as your own sweat when you're working in such a confined area with a shovel.
I'm John Veman. Don't believe you can get a good night's sleep in a mound of snow? Tune in to this week's Trailside for the cold truth as we make our own winter adventure.
Wow.
Nice. It's real nice when you work for it. You know, Brian, this chute's not on the map, and I don't see any trees out there. This looks to me like it might be an avalanche hazard. What do you think?
Well, occasionally the maps don't exactly match what's out there in reality. It does look as if the trail is crossing the lower runout zone of an avalanche slope.
So what other things should we be looking for to determine avalanche hazards?
Well, the most important thing to keep in mind is that most skiers serve as the trigger for the slides they get caught in. And in making an assessment, the first thing we need to look at is terrain.
Yep.
And just, as you pointed out, there's no trees out there, and they serve as anchors to hold the snowpack in place. So this is probably slid in the past, and it's probably going to slide again. But what's really critical is the angle of the slope. And I got a little slope meter here. And I'm just going to take a quick measurement of the slope. Let's see what it is.
And just looking at it, I'd say what, about 45, 50 degrees? What do you get?
Let's see, we are at roughly, it's only about 21, 22 degrees, which is good because most deadly avalanches run between 30 and 45 degrees. And so we're on the safe side of that. So I feel comfortable in making a crossing of this slope.
Okay, well, what about the snow we've been getting? How much of a factor is that?
Well, we haven't got that much fresh snow, and there hasn't been a lot of wind. So, I feel comfortable with that. And I haven't seen too many signs of recent activity as we've been on the trail. Also, what I like to do is think of the snowpack as layer cake. I can just do a quick ski pole test. And I just thrust the pole down through the snowpack and feel for any weak layers. And there's a lot of resistance there. That's a pretty solid snowpack. So again, I feel comfortable making this crossing rather than dropping down below the runout zone. But if we are going to cross, let's just do it safely.
Okay. What do you do about shutter speed in this kind of light?
That's a good question. Sometimes this kind of situation can really bedevil camera meters. So usually what you want to do is overexpose your pictures, maybe one stop to a stop and a half.
Okay.
So, say, will you grab that 20 off of that camera body for me?
Sure.
And I'm going to drop my tripod here and take your short zoom off.
All right. Oh, I think I see your shot now.
Is that right? What do you think is in my shot?
Well, let's see. I think you're going to probably bring these canoes in, right?
Right
into the
John, you're way
foreground?
ahead of me. Yeah, if you could pull that canoe in just a little bit for me, John.
Okay.
I'll frame this up. Nice wide angle, a little closer.
Okay.
Now this is a 20. It's an extreme wide angle lens. It really exaggerates objects in the foreground. Here, take a look.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Now see how we've added some leading lines that take us out into the shot. It has boundary waters in the background, but it says boundary waters, canoe wilderness.
It really does.
The other thing it does for me is I always love pictures that have just a few elements working in them. Less is more.
Yeah, now what we start with are the three sources of light that we should always carry.
Flashlight,
Flashlight, carbide light. Here are the
extra candle.
and here's the extra carbide.
How much fuel is that?
That's enough for about 24 hours.
That's a lot.
And that's a bag for the spent carbide. And we have a repair kit here.
Oh, duct tape, I recognize that.
Here's a compass and a whistle for emergency whistles.
Yep.
Here is a map of where we're going tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you can see it right there.
And here's some water that we have for drinking in the cave. We shouldn't drink the cave water without treating it first.
Yeah, but hydration isn't a real big problem.
No,
in
it's
cave,
not a
is
real
it?
big problem in a cave.
Since bears are so common in the Shenandoahs, we've got to get this food off the ground away from the campsite.
Right.
And we explained the 10-10-10 rule to the kids. That means we get this bag 10 feet from the main trunk of a tree,
Right.
10 feet off the ground, and 10 feet down from the branch that it's hanging from.
Well, that's a great way for him to remember it.
Yeah, and Andrew's ready to give it a rip now, I think, so go for it, buddy. All right, Andrew! Good toss.
Now, what do you do if you happen to finally see a bear? What kind of reaction can you expect to see?
Well, the most common reaction from a bear if they see you is to run away. After all, they are trying to avoid you. They could also appear to ignore you. If you see a bear, they may be looking down, continuing their feeding, but actually they're keeping a close eye on you.
Okay.
And that's a good time to leave the bear alone. Also, they can invite you to leave if they feel that you're too close.
An invitation to leave. Now, how do you know you're getting an invitation to leave?
Well, they'll give you signals. For instance, they may turn sideways. It's called posturing. It makes them appear bigger. They can also look straight at you and pop their teeth, or they may appear to yawn. These are all signs of stress. Also, they may charge you.
Oh, that's a pleasant thought.
Well, it is, but keep in mind that most charges are bluffs. They're called off after they come within 15 or 20 feet of you. What they're trying to do is make you run. This is an indication to them that you might be a prey. So the important thing is to stand your ground and not run. It's very important never to run. So if we had a bear charging us, what we'd want to do is stand our ground, stand very close together. It makes us appear larger and more threatening to the bear, actually, but he may call off his charge. We can also try shouting. That might startle the bear into turning around. If the bear does make full body contact, then the important thing is to play dead. Because if he makes contact, it's not that he's hungry and wants to eat you. It's because he perceives you as a threat. If you play dead, the threat has been removed and he has achieved his goal. At that point, he may leave you alone.
Well, that's some good advice. I wonder if you can keep it when one comes charging at you.
Well, I guess if you live to talk about it, you've survived.
Yeah. Hi, I'm John Veman. Join me in Alaska for a special two-part journey. This week, we're sea kayaking in Harriman Fjord. And next time, we're backpacking in the heart of bear country as we make our own adventures on Trailside.